Rob Ryder, speaking out of Cornwall. So, I don't normally do any kind of like videos like this. I just normally stick to health and money. And I said unless something comes up, I wasn't going to do more videos. But I thought this is a little bit interesting, and it's about obviously what everything's going on about now is the FIFA World Cup. So, right, I've got quite a few points here to make down, and how it mirrors kind of society and how society is going. And I've become very frustrated over the years, and the lockdown for me was humanity's last hope, and everything's fizzled out, and things are just going as they are. I put massive amounts of effort in the last probably 16 years or so getting information out, and I feel I've done my bit now. I feel it's time to pass on the baton. I feel there's enough information out there anyway. I don't think it's hidden now what's going on, so I don't see much point in doing much. If you go back to my previous video, the quiet revolution, I think that's really what needs to happen now. Just people keep talking and chatting, and maybe in a few decades or centuries we might expand our consciousness and morality enough to break free. I'm not too sure, but anyway, you see what's happened recently in the World Cup. There's lots of points, so I've tried to write a few down here. So you can see FIFA, which is this world body, should we say. You could compare it almost to the UN. This world body that we know is corrupt. It has been traditionally corrupt. Where there's money, there's corruption. Where there's a lot of money, there's a lot of corruption. And it's had a lot of scandals over the years. And so has government. Lots of scandals within governments over the years. But we're at a new phase now where corruption is open. Yeah, they're literally, in their own words, yeah, we're corrupt. What are you going to do about it? We'll do whatever we want. That's what FIFA's doing. That's what world governments are doing now. They're not hiding the corruption because it's what we know, but they just deny what they know is happening. It's beyond corrupt. And if you look at FIFA, you can see all these rules and regulations that have come in with technology, AI, similar to governments, that we're being promised will help the game, improve the quality of the game, fairness of the game, etc. But it's skewed to certain people. Just as AI will be skewed for certain agendas, it's been very clear in this World Cup that the VAR system was used to help Argentina through the rounds. Now, I am obviously an England supporter, and after we scored the goal to go 1-0 up, we actually bottled it, not just the manager, the players, and didn't deserve to win, to be honest. So I'm not saying England, this is not sour grapes. After the goal, we played really well before that, we didn't deserve to win because we bottled it. But it is absolutely clear that the Argentinians in the first half should have had at least 3 yellow cards and a red card, instant sending off. So if you look at the VAR system that was used to disallow a goal that had taken place after a phase of play with Egypt, and then ignored after another phase of play when Argentina scored, and then if you look at the VAR system that got England a red card in another game, you look at the after investigation that freed up an American player because Trump passed a word. So Trump represents the elite who are controlling government, you could say, who are controlling the UN. Trump made a word to FIFA, this is what you need to do. So they changed the rules because somebody outside of the governing body who has more power told them so. With the England, they interfered with the investigation to give an extra ban. Doesn't seem fair. So again, if VAR was ignored for the chosen people, shall we say, Argentina and Messi, the Messiah, because that is what was needed. Because let's be honest, American World Cup is about money. This is why they have the hydration breaks, which are really commercial breaks, because the hydration break should come in if the temperature reaches a certain temperature, and it wasn't always that temperature, and they have air-conditioned stadiums. So it was a commercial break. So the VAR system was being used when they chose to use it. With England, it was an absolute blatant red card for Argentina when Anderson got badged by the forearm on the back of the head. Dangerous play, red card, immediate. AI didn't intervene. That's a clear bias. Within 10 seconds, Bellingham was pushed on the floor off the ball, yellow card. Argentina scored the first, running the crowd. It's an immediate yellow card. Lots of other incidents we all know about happening. So what's the mirror of the world? It's the chosen people. There are certain people what they can do whatever they like, acts of violence, cheating, whatever. There's no consequences. Other people, immediate consequences. We can see that. Messi is an open Zionist from what I can see. Even though most of the Argentinian population support the Palestinian cause. So that's quite interesting because of their history in Latin America of oppression. But I'm going to check my notes here because there's a lot to go through, a lot of stuff that you can think. So there's definitely rules for one and not for the other. Absolutely, definitely rules for one, not the other. Technology has been used to further an agenda, which in this case is to get Messi into the final. There's an argument they wanted Mbappe in the final, but the truth was Spain are too good and too clean that they just outplayed them. There's nothing you can do about that. England weren't good enough to do it that way. They got to the 1-0 stage and simply weren't good enough. So I'm not saying England should be in the final. They didn't deserve it on the play. But they should have been playing against 10 men. That's an absolute fact, which would have probably pushed them into the final. But it's not what the people want because there's so much money in getting Messi into the final. And I believe now they're going to do a halftime show, which could go to half an hour. Again, this is money talking, interfering with football. Politics interfering with football, money interfering with football. See how much politics is in football now, bending the knee, that nonsense. When people rebel against it, so when you had the rainbow armbands, Gagey half-heartedly rebelled. I think he put a Jesus sign on, but he still put the armband on. Didn't have the courage to not put it on. I think there was a Muslim player in the Premiership who didn't put the armband on. Good on him. Whether you agree with the armband or not, it shouldn't be in football. It's a political statement. Now, he agreed it for his religious reasons, which I'm not a follower of any religion. I don't like religion. But you have to respect him for standing up. During the lockdown, Djokovic stood up, said, I don't want that vaccine. It took him out of tolerance. He took the consequences fully on the chin because he had got integrity. Nobody's ever apologised to him. Matt Letizia spoke out. He was already speaking out against the politicisation within sport. He was pushed aside. Jamie Carragher, who was openly filmed spitting on someone out of a car, kept his job. And you see all these contradictions and you see the lack of courage and morality within people. Now you see, this is where all the comparisons are going. Gary Neville, always been known to be like kind of like a communist almost. You know, up for the workers. Is another champagne socialist. He's the equivalent of what we've got now is Gary's economics. Somebody who was Gary Neville did go to Davos. What's he doing going to Davos if he's a man of the people? He's built up a huge empire worth a lot of money, and he shouldn't be having these political opinions. Another champagne socialist. You got Roy Keane. You could say maybe he's the Trump or the Farage, the tough, straight-talking hard man. And yet he backed up Carragher and never backed up Matthew Letizia. Why? Why would somebody, how could you ever, especially in our culture, back up somebody who was filmed spitting on a believer it was a woman or even a young girl? It's unforgivable. Keane, like I say, the Farage Trump type won't stand up for that. He'll stand up for other stuff, yeah, and he'll say strong words, but when it really, really, really comes down to it, to show a bit of strength and morality, nothing. Favouritism. Gary Neville is a moron, just a muppet, champagne socialist. Ian Wright is probably the equivalent of just a nice guy who just goes along with everything. Everybody likes him, he's a nice guy, and probably hasn't got that in him to stand up against what's wrong. Because what Carragher did was wrong, what Matthew Le Tissier did was right, it's been proven to be right, and everyone disowns him. And this is a perfect mirror of what happens in society. You look at our local doctor here, Dr. David Cartland, who went along with the lockdown. He had a couple of jabs himself, and then he started seeing reactions and deaths. He did some more investigation. He's seen it was actually nationally and more. And when he spoke up about it, he was just told to shut up and get on with it. He's now took the full brunt, the full force of the system to destroy his life. Has anyone backed him up? No. Utter silence. Utter silence from his local community where he lives and from the medical community. All cowards. Society is full of cowards now. It really is full of cowards. And you look at even football, how the culture of football has changed. When I was growing up, playing football in the 80s, in the 90s, in Manchester, playing some rough leagues, the Women's League, the Salford League, it was all hard and fair, a little bit over hard sometimes, should we say, in them days, a little bit violent sometimes, but nobody feigned a hit. Nobody feigned an injury. I was known to be quite a powerful, strong tackler, but never ever aggressive. I was never nasty. I was aggressive but not nasty. That's my character. Hard but fair. I had to be hard because I'm not a big guy, so I went in harder than most. Won my fair share. If I'd ever got hit, me and my mates growing up in that era, if somebody gives you a big hit, the last thing you want to do is let them know you've been hurt. You take a deep breath, get on with it, and maybe smile at them. You don't want them to know you've been hurt because that's you getting one up on them. If I'd have ever rolled around after a little bit of a trip, feigning an injury, not only would I have been kicked by my opponents, my own teammates would have kicked me out of embarrassment. That's the era I was brought up in football. When I think Jurgen Klinsmann was the first one to come in that brought diving, and then you have all the Latin players, all the other players starting to come in, bringing this culture of diving and cheating into English football that was never there. It was all hard but fair. And now it's gone into now that English players have just, it's almost like if you can't beat them, join. I think we're not as bad as some. We know the Argentinians have always been bad sportsmen in football. Even go back to the 66 World Cup. The bad losers and bad winners. And having lived in Latin America, when a Latin team is playing, it doesn't matter who you are, they'll support the Latin team against anyone else, except Argentina. Not many people in Latin America like the Argentinians. Now, I like their patriotism and the way they come together and the nationalism. There's nothing wrong with that. But they become disrespectful with it, which has been clearly shown in this World Cup against England. It's not good. But they're allowed to get away with it. They're allowed to put political banners on a football fit with no consequences. And they're allowed to do what they did. Jude Bellingham's slap was, well, he's shown a lot of strength just to slap him. It's completely disrespectful. Nobody owns up for it. And then you hear clips of Messi talking to the referee and talking to Bellingham, you should respect me. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't respect anyone just because of who they are. Respect should be earned by your behaviour. That's it. Messi, mate, you respect him as a footballer, one of the best ever. Don't respect him as a human unless he's going to act in a respectful way. And that means calling out your own bad behaviour. What happened in English football, this is why I stopped watching it for many, many years. Diving started to become a feigning injury, and then when, should we say, the native white English people from, which it was 50 years ago, started doing it, it's infiltrated our culture, where you see Harry Kane feigning being hit on the head when he wasn't. Harry Kane being tackled against Norway, which gave away a goal, and rolling about on the floor as though he'd been kicked when he hadn't. It's bad, and it's not good. And I have to ignore all that just to get any enjoyment out of football now, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And you look in society, isn't government really a mirror of the people? The immorality, the corruption within government, isn't that within the majority of the people anyway? And we accept it. Just as we accept governments now are corrupt, we just accept it. Nothing surprises anymore. We know it. That's why there's no point in me being an activist, so-called activist anymore, because we know it. We know FIFA's corrupt. People go along with it. No one's got the courage to stand up and say no. Should come from the managers. Managers have never had courage to. If I was a manager in my day, the culture I was brought up in, if I was a manager now and I seen certain behaviours, I'd drag my own players off the field. I wouldn't want to win like they. Diving, feigning injury, cheating, I wouldn't want to see it. And I was brought up in an era of football where it was really hyper aggressive. And that was accepted because it was part of the game, hard and fair, not always fair, but you accepted that. The cheating is unacceptable, but it's everywhere now. The culture has changed, and the culture has changed in society. The behaviour, I think, has gone downhill. We're getting more immoral. And it's just gone downhill completely. Look, a few more notes here, because this really could, the mirroring of this, you could go on forever. And you see, the open commercial breaks. Again, now they're going to have possibly a half an hour for football. Where are the people standing up saying, no, we're not going to do that? And to hell with the consequences. Very few Djokovics and Matt Letizias and David Cartons out there. Very, very, very few. Much less than 1%, because people haven't got the moral courage to stand up for what they know is wrong. The managers are always complaining when a foul or a cheat is done on them. When they do it, they kind of push, oh, it's just part of the game. You played for a foul. You cheated, it's the same thing, depending on who it's for. The managers have no morality. They allow the players to get away with things. The football associations allow them. They pick and choose, the football associations, when to intervene and discipline and not. It's so unbelievably corrupt, but so is government. And we allow it to happen. Completely allow it to happen. I'm just looking at a few of the notes here. Yeah, so the FIFA kind of mirrors the UN, if you went, or government, in that it's corrupt. We know it's corrupt. They can change the rules when they want. If they haven't got rules, they'll just ignore it anyway. They'll pick and choose. So Argentina are the chosen people at the moment because the financial system wants Messi in the final. I actually think and hope Spain will win about 3-0 because there's a far better team. And we accept it. And what we do, this creates the new normal. So you have the new normal in football now, which is a technology being used, but being used as and when. You've got cheating, again, part of the game. Isn't that society? Technology is being used as and when, to control us. There's very little morality within people now, and just being a nice person and not getting involved and allowing immorality isn't really good, so it's cowardice. Like I say, who's calling out Jamie Carragher after doing that? If in English culture, spitting on somebody is about the worst thing you could do. If it was another culture, I know in Argentina that's something to do. Fair enough if they do it in their culture. In our culture, it's not. He should have been sacked on the spot. People just accept the new normal, which is total corruption, total immorality, is the new normal. It's the new normal in football. It's the new normal. To the point where I've accepted it. So I watched the football, but blanked out everything I don't like, because although I haven't watched football for years because I couldn't watch it. But there was a book I read years ago by George Orwell. I think it's Keeping the Aphrodite Flying or something like that. But a guy who struggled with being part of the system, and then when he got married and had a child, he embraced the total system because he felt this is what my responsibility, this is what I have to do. And he put this plant in the middle of his windowsill that represented the system, you could say, and he gave into the system, which is kind of what I've done in a way, in the fact I've withdrew from being what people have. I mean, I've never considered myself an activist, but I've done a lot of work over the years and I've withdrew from that. I bought a TV license just before the World Cup for the first time in well over a decade. Could be 14, 15 years, I don't know. But I bought a TV license because I thought, you know what, it ain't going to change the world. I need a little bit of a distraction, but I'm aware it's a distraction. I'm aware of what it is. And so I've kind of like put that plant in the window now and given to the system because I don't see any change coming. And people are talking about, oh yeah, the country united. The country didn't unite over England for the football. The native population united, or the people that maybe have been here 30, 40 years. You know, there would have been a certain decent amount of this population in this country that couldn't care less if England won or lost, or would have even liked England to lose. Because there are people in this country that don't like this country and even hate this country. So there wasn't a uniting of the whole country. It didn't exist at all. So again, it mirrors, you could even say, the multicultural agenda, which is to create divisions so we can't unite. I will never unite because our belief systems are too immoral. So you've got all these religious, cultural belief systems that are just no good for humanity, and you want to bring them together. Impossible. And they're all bad, if you ask me anyway. The only way you can unite is to let go of them belief systems first. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. So you just create your own little world, work and communicate with people who you want, and carry on with the illusion in the full awareness that it is an illusion and nonsense. So I know FIFA's corrupt. I know football's gone down the pan. And another interesting note was how what I call the modern day robotic football has taken over, which Spain are brilliant, don't get me wrong, but it's come from a robotic style football. France, with a individualist football, got destroyed by robotic football. The chance of getting a Ronaldinho again in football is very low. It's coming very robotic, but it's winning. And that is also symbolic of how the new generation is being mind controlled in schools, college, to become very robotic. And individuals who might have something genuine to contribute for the good for humanity got no chance. Absolutely no chance. I just thought these are interesting comparisons to show where we are. It shows why I just can't be bothered being a so-called activist anymore. I've put the plant in my window. I've got my BBC license fee. Yeah, I'm a traitor. I'm supporting paedophile organisations. Well, listen, all organisations are owned by a few people. It doesn't really matter anymore. I haven't paid the license for years because I haven't watched live TV. It's not changed anything. And I thought the lockdown was our chance to bring about change. It wasn't. There has been a slight awakening, but most of society is just going along with it. And I think my dream of ending debt slavery in my lifetime, even though I published the book with all the information there to do it, nobody cares. Because nobody will really sacrifice. Yeah, nobody else within the football community will say, no, I'm not doing that, even if it means my career. They won't do it. In society, no, very few people are going to stand up and say, no, I ain't doing that. You've got the odd few, the Djokovic, the Matt Letizia, the David Cartons. They're very, very few. Within football, there's very few. Even though I'm not supporting Islam, the one guy who did stand up was a Muslim. He said, I'm not doing it. It's political. I don't want to get involved in it, and I don't believe in it. He could have had serious consequences. They're all bowing down, taking the knee. putting armbands on for whatever political statements are being made everywhere. No one's got the courage to say no. And it's a mirror of society. It's an absolute mirror of society. So you've still got to live in it. So I live in this society, this illusionary society around me I don't respect, but you just got to smile, talk to people about the weather, about the football, about whatever, and get on with your life. The information's out there now if people want it. People genuinely actually don't care. They don't care if the game of football deteriorates so much as long as it's still there to give them something. They don't care if society deteriorates so much as long as it's still there in some form, rather than actually stand up and do anything about it. It's a great mirror, football and FIFA, and the deterioration of football and FIFA, and the deterioration of society and people.